All right, Irina, could we get started?
Yes, sir. All right, welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. This is the regular meeting of the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment. And Mr. Avalone, would you please call us to order?
I'd be happy to. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coaster and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and posted on the municipal bulletin board and municipal website. All notices are on file with the board's secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before this board. As always, the fire exits are located on the east and west sides of the council chambers as well as the back of the building. I ask everyone with a cell phone to please mute it for the duration of this meeting. And this meeting is being recorded by APTV. Irina.
Thank you. I will now take roll. Daniel Harris.
Here.
Jill Potter.
Here.
Tim Slick is absent. Wendy Glassman.
Here.
Bonnie Knock is absent. John Scully.
Here.
Russell Lewis is absent. And finally, Christopher Avalone.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Just a few housekeeping issues before we do an executive session resolution. I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of the June 28th, 2022 regular meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Christopher Avalone and a second by Daniel Harris. And I believe everyone that is present is eligible to vote on those minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes of June 28, 2022 memorialized.
All right. So for an executive session, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the executive session.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Christopher Avalone and a second by Jill Potter.
And
All
if we can just read the full motion into the record.
All right, I'll do that. Whereas state law permits the exclusion of the public in certain circumstances, and whereas the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment finds that such circumstances currently exist and are as follows. Personal matters affecting employment, appointment, terms and conditions of employment of the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment. Whereas the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment will make public minutes of the closed session when confidentiality and the disclosure of any unwarranted invasion of individual privacy no longer exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment that they are hereby authorized to enter into closed session to discuss personal matters which are exempt from discussion in an open public meeting under the Sunshine Law, NJSA 10-4-6, etc.
Thank you. And I'll just take a vote just to, I'm sorry.
Just for clarification, it's personnel matters,
Yes,
not personal matters. So
personnel.
we just want to make sure the record's clear, it's personnel.
All right,
Okay.
why don't I take a vote just to put it on record? So I have a motion by Christopher Avalone and a second by Jill Potter. Daniel Harris?
Yes.
Jill Potter?
Yes.
Wendy Glassman?
Yes.
John Scully?
Yes.
And Christopher Avalone.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Executive session begin now.
Now.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, it is 8:04 p.m. We are continuing the regular session of the City of Asbury Park Zoning Board of Adjustment. I will now take roll. Daniel Harris,
Yes, I'm here.
Jill Potter,
Here.
Wendy Glassman,
Here.
John Scully,
Here.
and Christopher Avalone.
Here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Irina.
Can
All right,
we
so
have a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
second.
I have a motion by Jill Potter and a second by Christopher Avalone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will return from executive session.
All right, so we've had some time to deliberate the decision regarding the special attorney. Do I have a motion for the approval of the special attorney, Ron Mandela?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Daniel Harris and a second by Jill Potter. Daniel Harris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jill Potter,
Yes.
Wendy Glassman,
Yes.
John Scully,
Yes.
Russell Lewis, I'm sorry, and finally Christopher Avalone.
Yes.
Thank you. So that is to appoint Mr.
Ron Mandela
Ron Mondello
As
as
special-
special counsel.
for the cannabis application only.
Okay. All right.
Okay? All right, so we can finally, and I apologize that this took so long.
No need, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Sometimes we go into an executive session and it takes a little longer than we expect. But thank you so much for your time and waiting. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dino Spadaccini.
Mr. Spadaccini, before we do that,
Sure.
housekeeping-wise, you did the minutes before we had an open meeting, so we do have to actually approve those minutes in an open meeting.
Okay?
So if we could just do that really quickly, housekeeping-wise, and then Mr. Spadaccini will.
The minutes of June 28th you're talking about?
Yes, that's correct. We did not have the
We just have
public.
to read.
We didn't have the public in here.
Oh.
We have to approve the meeting. the
Oh,
minutes in the public
I
section.
get it. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th, 2022, the regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Christopher Avalone and a second by Jill Potter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes of June 28th, 2022, regular meeting.
All right, so on to the application finally.
So it's a-
412 Second Avenue.
Well, I'm going to
Kristen
stop.
Joyner.
I'm going to stop you and make sure housekeeping is okay, and you have jurisdiction. I just want to make sure, Mr. Beekman.
We absolutely do. I have looked at the meeting notice and the notices, and I looked at all of the certified, and yes, the board does have jurisdiction to hear the matter.
Thank you, Jeff. So, Mr. Spadaccini, is that correct?
That is spot on.
Okay. Mr. Spadaccini, please proceed and let us know exactly where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly will try. So Dino Spadaccini, on behalf of the applicant, Kristen A. Joyner, the property that's subject to this application tonight is 412 Second Avenue, Block 3302, Lot 3. It is an R1 single-family district, but that also puts us into a historic district, is what it does as well, under your newly, not so newly, maybe a year-old ordinance, Section 30-64, Community Design Regulations. The home is approximately, or the lot's approximately 7,500 square foot property with an existing 2.5-story home with a 1,446 square foot footprint. The proposal is to alter the existing second floor that had an enclosure and to open that up into a balcony is what the proposal is. And replace it with a balcony, with a bump out. And in order to do so, we need a design waiver because we're making a change because we're in a historic district, which is why we're here this evening. Now, that said, I'm going to give you a little bit of history about it as well right now because the porch and the bump out is not there today. They started the renovations that they were permitted to do, siding, windows, things like that, and it was deemed structurally unsound. So right now you just have the flat facade, and we'll show you photos and like so you can see it, but you just have the flat front facade of the building right now. The porch has been removed, everything's been removed off the front of the building. We have Ms. Joyner who's going to testify this evening, we have our designer, and we have our contractor here in the event that you have any questions of him. And we also have some cheerleaders. A couple neighbors came out, so they're not objectors, which I'm sure you're happy about. I believe they're going to speak in favor of this application as well. So with that said, Kristen, we're going to swear you in first. I'm sure Mr. Beekman is going to swear you in.
Ms. Joyner, you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And if you could just state your name for the record and spell your last name as well, please?
Sure. Kristen A. Joyner, Joyner.
So Kristen, what I'd like you to do, briefly give the board your history. You know, you're not a developer that's coming in here asking for something. You're a homeowner. You're trying to make an alteration on your home. You've been a citizen of Asbury Park for some time. So if you can just let them know that, I think it's important.
Sure. Thanks for your time today. I purchased the home in 2003, so I've been here almost 20 years. It is my secondary home. We spent Christmases here when my son was born and he was little. We spend time here all year round. I don't rent it. I barely let my family stay there, but occasionally my family stays with me to enjoy the beach. When I bought the home, I was married, had a child, now divorced. Since the divorce, there's a lot to be, keeping up a 100-plus-year-old home, peeling paint and rotting wood and things like that. Quite honestly, that became a lot, to handle little things every year. And so I decided to invest in the property to get it to the point where I can be there for the next 30 years and not have to worry about all that stuff. So that's what I've decided to do.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about this balcony that you want to put up. It's on the second floor,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come off a living area. It comes off your bedroom is what it does,
Correct.
in fact, correct? And so, again, it's not a party area, it's nothing like that.
No.
You just want to use it in the mornings, basically come out, have a cup of
Yep.
coffee, newspaper, things like that.
Yeah, it is in the master bedroom. It was a bay window, the design is a very small balcony. I mean, I don't know that it'll fit much more than a chair and a footstool and a table, and it's meant for me off my bedroom to have coffee or
Is the
read.
bay window still there, Ms. Joyner?
No,
No, we're going to show you, Mr. Chairman, in a minute. There's nothing there. The whole
What happened to the bay window?
It was deemed structurally unsound, the whole front of the house. So let's put up a photo and we'll show you. Okay. That's fine. Well, we have our own plans. Do we have plans?
While you're bringing that up, who deemed it structurally unsound?
We'll have I'll bring up my contractor to discuss that. What happened, I can tell you in the abbreviated version, while we applied for permits during COVID, we started doing the non-permit work, if you will, windows, peeling back siding and the like, and they can get into the details of the designer, but it was not pretty, I can assure you that. So I don't want you to think that this was some type of, in the still of the night, oh, let's tear this
My
down.
understanding, though, that there was a work stoppage. Is that correct?
There was.
And why was that?
The work stoppage, we received a notice that we were not permitted to put in a balcony, is what happened, and that's how we ended up here.
Is that the only reason that did you have permits to remove the ornamental structure of the house?
I will have our designer and contractor talk about that.
Okay,
So I'll bring them up as witnesses, not a problem.
okay, please proceed.
So that is what it previously looked like. I don't know where that is. Do you have another one, or is that the only one that you can? No, not you. Can you see that, I guess?
Yeah,
is
there's
it
one
right?
next to
Oh, okay. So the area that's bumped out over the first floor porch is the area where we'd like to put the balcony. And we'll show you additional photos, the renderings, the like. I believe on the plan, does the plan show the stripped down version of the home? Okay, so,
Mr. Spadaccini, just so we're sure, everything that you're going to refer to tonight has already been submitted, or do you have any new exhibits?
I believe no, we have some new exhibits.
Okay, so as we get to those new exhibits, if we can identify
That
them.
was on the plan, so that's not a new exhibit, that. Okay. So with that said, unless you have any questions, Ms. Joyner, I'll bring up our contractor next, and then we'll
Before she sits down.
well, she's not going to go anywhere. So.
No, but the rest of the board has to have the chance to ask her any questions if they have any, and we also have to allow the public to ask questions.
Of course.
Was any of the things that were removed from your home saved? Because there's some ornamental details that are part of the historic nature of the home. Was any of that saved, or did it all wind up in a dumpster and taken away?
We'll have our contractor talk about that, but I believe it was all taken away. No. Oh, no. Okay. Hang on, Mike, so if we swear him in as well, would that be?
No,
No,
just
this is
one witness at a time, Mr.
That's fine.
Spadaccini.
That's fine.
So, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Joyner? All right, board professionals, do you have any questions for Ms. Joyner? I'll open up to the public now. Does anyone in the public have any questions for Ms. Joyner? No? Okay. Please proceed, Mr. Spadaccini.
Okay, thank you.
It's just a procedural
No,
thing.
I'm not offended, don't worry.
Have you appeared before zoning boards before?
Quite frequently.
Okay.
In over about 225 municipalities,
Okay.
so I'm fine with it. And everyone, I find that they all have different procedures, so.
Okay.
And I haven't been here in 25 years, to be perfectly honest with you, so.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate being back. So don't go anywhere, but if they have, no, you can, don't leave the building. Not an Elvis leaving the building moment. Mike, why don't you come on up and. So, Mike, we're going to swear you in as well, state your name for the record.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And if you could state your name for the record and spell your last, please.
Michael Granger, Granger.
Could you speak up, Mr. Granger?
Yes. Sorry.
Mike, you're the general contractor on the job, is that correct?
Yes, me and my son.
And the name of the company is?
TINK Construction Services.
And in connection with the job, you did file for permits, correct?
Yes.
And that was, I believe, during the COVID period, is that correct?
Yes, right now, when the bulk, they're only open a few days a week, and I understand everybody was working remotely. It was a tough time to try to do business.
And during that point in time, while you were waiting for permits to be issued, you started undertaking non-permit required work such as?
Window replacement, which was direct size change, so there was no structural work, and the siding. When we proceeded with the siding, it was discovered that when we started removing it, we needed to resheathe the house. So we went back to the construction and updated permits and got permits for the sheathing and the rest of our other work. But that's when it got bumped back, where they said the front porch needs to go to zoning. And so we proceeded with the other work and got all the rest of the other drawings and resubmitted the front porch for zoning.
At what point in time did the porch come down?
When we started on the peak and working our way down, stripping out the siding, that's when we were over top of the.
Hang on a second, I'm going to introduce this as an exhibit. This is the house as it currently exists, and I'm wondering if we can maybe take a photo of it and put it up on the screen. Hey, you have this one? Oh, okay, he's got that one.
great.
Okay. So that was not submitted, so that would be
It's not
A1. That is a current, that's an existing condition.
Do we have someone who can identify that?
Sure, the address or the?
No, identify the photo. Who took it? Who prepared it?
Oh, did you take it?
Yeah, I took the.
Mike Ranger
Okay.
took it. And that's going to be A1 then, existing condition? We can get you that one. Yeah, sure. So, Mike, you pull the permits, you're waiting for permits. Tell us what you start to discover as you're going through the process.
When we started, like I said, working our way down, I went up into the third floor because we could see where the bay window bump out was actually starting to sink was detaching from the house. So I went up into the third floor bedroom, and the floor had, I guess over time, had sank probably at one point in the center almost 6 inches. So when we dug into things a little better, we realized that there was no structural support above on the third floor joists. They didn't cantilever over, and it was basically just floating. The front porch from the center going left or east, that whole side had deteriorated, and you could see where it had been jacked up to try to level, but everything underneath was just completely rotted out. So what was happening is the bay window was starting to sink and kick out, and it was tied into the front porch, and the front porch had, right along that roof line, had detached from the house and was actually starting to rack this way. At that point, we were concerned that because this is the way it's balloon construction there was so much strain in front of the house. And once it started to get disturbed, at that point, we all met the crew and said we need to structurally somehow support this before, at that point, we were afraid it was going to start to tip from the one side and start pulling away from the house. And when we...
Mr. Granger, did you go before the construction group and tell them what was going on with the particular front facade of the house and the porch?
Well, when we filed for everything for the porch, then when we were doing the other work, when we started doing that...
But what was the time frame of when you went back to the construction department and said, did you just go ahead and rip everything off and...
No, well, it was a Thursday at around 2:30, 3 o'clock when we discovered this other point. We called the township that Friday morning. They're closed. They're not open. At that point, they're not opening back up until Tuesday. At that point, as the contractor, I'm responsible for this property. And in my opinion and what I felt when we discovered that the porch also had no footing under this side here at all, that there was no sound way to support the third floor and above. We tried to cut through the porch and run support straight up. By the time we tried to do that, it got to the point where we were starting to lose the structure. So at that point, we took it down, just out of pure safety. And the whole project, whether or not the balconies approved or not, all of that had to be rebuilt. Anyway, there was no way, there was nothing else you could do at that point because we had to support that third floor.
So you didn't seek any approvals from the city before you just went ahead and ripped everything down, is that correct?
Well, we filed for everything and we submitted everything for months earlier. But again, during COVID, communications was extremely difficult. And we did what we felt was the best thing. What was wrong, well then, I don't.
But from a safety perspective, there was...
I was afraid that we were going to end up coming back down here to find it collapsed or maybe even take part of the front of the house with it. So that's
Did you go back to so you were saying this was on a Thursday and you couldn't reach the town on a Friday. They weren't open until Tuesday. After you did this, did you go to the town on that Tuesday?
Oh, yeah.
And what was the response then?
And yeah.
It was...
Michael.
Yeah, we'll bring another member of the general contractor.
Because
I don't know if you want to wait, Mr. Chairman.
Does he have other information?
He does.
I think we should stick with one at a time.
Fine. That's fine, not a problem.
If Michael had gone down Tuesday to explain to them everything we had done. That's why. I didn't do it personally, so I didn't want to.
And what was the timing of the stop order? When did that take effect into the time frame you're telling us now?
I'm sorry, the timing of...
So this happened on a Thursday. When
Thursday.
did the city come in and give a stop order?
Somebody went to the town on Tuesday. Was the stop order issued on that Tuesday?
Tuesday, we believe so. We'll have another witness.
So what year is this taking place in? You say
21.
COVID had so much to do with this. When are you
21.
talking about?
June of 21.
June of 21?
No, not June of 21. That's the date the ordinance was adopted. Hang on.
I think I need some dates since you're using COVID as the reason why this all happened.
Well, I mean,
COVID is a reason.
no, I'm just saying.
But it's referenced frequently.
Yeah.
You keep saying that COVID was the reason that you couldn't talk to the town.
Well, no,
The construction department was always open. There was
That's not true.
3 days a week they were.
That's not accurate.
But again, I'm not, it's not like I'm calling them out. What I'm saying is, communication was difficult at that time. And they're, I mean, they're open Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. No one was there Mondays or Fridays. Now, that's,
But COVID wasn't the reason why you couldn't come in contact with them.
Well, they just weren't there on Mondays and Fridays.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
well, yeah, I just, yes, I was under the impression that it was because of that.
Were there any?
Because, I mean, when I would get messages back from the city, she would say, I'm sorry that it's taken so long to get back to you. We're short-staffed, and, with COVID, not everyone, some people were working remotely. So that's why I brought it up, because that's what I got back.
Okay, pushing COVID to the side, okay. The work that was done without a permit.
Well, the
emergency
demolition,
repairs, the demolition that was done without a permit.
The demolition, yes. If that's,
Were any fines issued by the city?
we need our next witness.
Okay, we'll have to ask him that question.
yeah, I don't believe so, but.
Were you aware that you were working in a historic district when you took this job?
When we originally came to the city and asked, we were told that it wasn't.
That was?
It wasn't.
I don't believe it was. I believe the ordinance was adopted in June of '21, so June of last year, and they started the project prior to that. And it's in the R1 zone, which under the new ordinance that was adopted last year, morphed that zone into historic zone. But it's not, other than that new ordinance, it was not in a historic zone.
And again, what's the timing on this?
Of the new ordinance?
No. When, I apologize, I don't remember.
Oh, of the construction.
Mr. Spadaccini.
When he tore down the porch, what year are we talking?
Do you have that or is Mick have that? Our next witness will answer that. Yeah, I understand you want a timeline and we'll get.
Yeah. Yeah, it was last summer. But we filed the,
So it was June of 21.
The ordinance was adopted June.
No.
I'll get you the exact date.
no, but we filed in May of 2020.
Is when you
Filed
tore.
for what?
The permit for the
Original
package,
permits.
for the original.
Is that when the
package.
work initially started?
No, we waited almost 6 months before we started doing the.
So like November of
windows.
20, the work started?
Well, we started doing windows, we did the window
I'm
replacement.
lost on the timeline.
So am I.
We'll get the next witness to
I'm
get
finding
you.
it difficult to follow.
Yeah.
When we filed, the spring,
Of 20.
no, we filed in 20, late. in
When was your
2020.
first permit issued?
In, I believe, April or May of 2021.
So your permit was filed in April of 2021. 21. So last year.
Right,
Last year.
but our
That's
first,
That's not when you filed it.
no, our first initial filing was in
No,
late.
permit. When were you issued a permit for the work? What was the date of the permit? Don't you have your permits?
I don't have them right in front of me now. I don't.
You should have your permits though, right?
Oh, I did, they're in the window at the
Yeah,
house.
and again, I don't
Yeah.
believe there's been any violation notices other than the balcony's not permitted, is my understanding, but we'll have the next witness talk about that.
But we got the one stuff.
Well, we'd like to know what your permit said.
Understood.
Okay, that I can,
And a timeline, because I'm
Understood.
lost as to when the project started,
Okay.
when the work stoppage came, when
Understood.
the third floor was separating and.
That's
When the front facade was removed?
Yeah,
We need
the
a complete timeline.
Board members, can I ask one question? When was your application submitted?
December of 21.
Okay. So the application was submitted December of 2021. That date is after the ordinance came into effect. So I'm not sure the relevance of the I understand you want a timeline, but I'm not sure of the relevance of the question.
No,
because
no, I understand, Mr. Bigman.
Yeah.
But that has, what we're trying to get at is what the permits were issued to say. What did the permits say? What were you granted to do with the structure by the construction department?
And I also would like just a
The exterior.
timeline of the work and how it came about?
I was just gonna explain from the standpoint of the application, the timeframe, and what's applicable to the application.
Let's just have him.
That, you know,
Better
that's,
than that.
that's why I asked the question about the date of but I also understand the board wants to have a frame of reference from 2020 to today's date, what's gone on.
It just makes it easier to comprehend.
Sure.
Yeah, and we believe our next witness can get you the timelines, and I understand that, I totally understand.
But everything's, we have the permits for the exterior.
All right, they may have more questions on that you may or may not be able to answer, but we'll get them answered for the board.
I have no further questions for Mr. Granger.
If I may help, there should be an application of zoning denial in your application packet dated August 10th, 2021.
That's right.
And also, that application was also filed after the June date, is that correct?
Correct.
I see April, I see May.
Mr. Chairman, if we could answer one question that was asked to the prior witness about what was saved, Mr. Granger can talk to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did salvage all the ornamental pieces, and we put everything's in her basement. So we did keep everything.
I appreciate that. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Granger.
When you say ornamental pieces, looking at the old facade, the original facade, would that
No, I don't
include
either.
the fish scale
Irina, we don't have it.
siding?
We don't have it.
We don't have it.
Mostly the fish scale siding that already stored. There you
Okay,
go.
so did it include the box trim that's underneath the windows on the third floor and between the windows on the bay?
The
What is
ones,
that?
the ones on the bay had already started to rot, and they've been kind of putty back together. But the support pieces on each end, we saved.
The brackets?
Yes, and some of the other, there was a number of different things on the front of the house. But the columns were so rotted, we couldn't do anything with them. They were literally,
And the railing's not historic, so you didn't say
no,
that,
no,
right?
no.
So what you saved are the brackets and, for lack of better words, but like the straight boxes under the third floor
Yeah,
window?
yeah.
Were you able to save those?
Yes.
And the like tic-tac-toe type thing between the
No,
bay
they were
window?
all rotted. There was nothing. They were literally puttied back together. The house, she had gotten the house painted every so many years, but the siding was so bad at that point that a lot of the stuff was just crumbling. Wasn't even holding paint any
Those-
longer.
The brackets are not original, are they?
Well, they've been,
I'm asking the question, they just feel a little slight compared to
yeah, well,
the mass of the.
I kept them anyway because.
I'm
they
just
were on
curious
that,
if you, I haven't touched them, but you may have touched them and seen
Yeah, I
how
did.
old the wood was and how the
Yeah,
joinery
it
was.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as some of the other areas of the house, but it was still structurally sound, so we kept them.
But it appeared to be of the period of the house construction, or did it appear to be later?
Later.
So they weren't original?
No, I don't, but again,
But you didn't think so?
No, but at the same time, we talked to Kristen and we decided to save them. And like I said, there wasn't much else that we could really, the posts were at the point where you could almost crumble them with your hand.
That's why portraits are so valuable. They're hard to keep.
And then on the left side, they had tried to jack the porch up so many times, there was nothing left. And then we discovered there was no footings at all. It was set in, a post were set, and when we pulled that out, it was just stones that were sitting on the bottom.
You're talking under the porch floor?
The actual supports for underneath, for what should have been footings,
Was just stone?
yeah, it was just sitting on, and that's 100 and some years ago, that's how they did it,
I'm just clarifying, you're talking about the porch footings?
Yeah.
Or lack thereof, okay.
And I apologize because of the photos that we decided to bring tonight. I did not think that I would need those, but we do have photos of the condition of those but unfortunately, we may be able to pull them up.
Well, it would help, if
To
we.
see something.
See how bad it was.
To see how bad it was. and-
Well, we're gonna work on it, Mr. Chairman. You've made that clear without saying it, so I understand.
Because I think what we're struggling with is the flat-out removal.
Yeah.
And not having the permit to proceed
Right.
in the demolition, so
Well,
it's a little bit
Let's let Mike-
after the fact, I would say, Mr. Spadaccini, that you're coming to us now to say, this is what it is, this is, deal with it.
Well, no, please, Mr. Chairman, I hope I'm not coming across that way, because that's certainly not our intent by any stretch. It's more along the lines of, unfortunately, this has happened.
Well, and if you could provide the evidence that you're talking about.
We think we're gonna be able to do that, so we're gonna start pulling that together off the laptop now.
Yeah,
And so,
Together and stuff.
Mike, tell us,
So, wait, before we proceed, Mr. Spadaccini, you say you're going to be able to provide this information. Are you saying that you need to come back at another time?
no, we don't think so. We think we can pull it off our hard drive.
So would you need some time if I gave you a 15-minute recess?
I think, that'd be great, if you don't
Okay,
mind. I don't
so-
know that we need 15 minutes.
All right, so I'll make a motion for a 10-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 10-minute recess beginning now. Welcome back, everyone. Daniel Harris,
Here.
Jill Potter,
Here.
Wendy Glassman,
Here.
John Scully,
Here.
and Christopher Avaloni.
Here.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so Mr. Spadaccini, I can see you've been working hard and feverishly to try to pull some more information together for the board. How do you feel at this point? Do you wish to carry to another date?
I think, Mr. Chairman, you've made that pretty clear that that would be in our best interest, so I can read that tea leaf, and we would carry, obviously, the sooner the better. We would like to be done with this as much as I'm sure the town would like to be done with the current state of the home, and we think the end product is going to be something that we're all going to be very proud of at the end of the day, but we just need to get there, so the sooner the better, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate that, Mr. Spadaccini. Irina, what do we have available?
Yes, sir. So we have September 13th available. I'm not sure how you feel about putting another application on that date.
I'm hesitant to do that. I prefer, can we accommodate them at the end of the month? Or is it already full?
We can for September 20th.
No,
No.
end of this month.
Oh, at the end of this month. So I just want to make sure that is what's going to happen, that we are going to bump that one application to September.
Oh, okay, so before we give the date of the July.
Yeah, so we can definitely carry them on the record to August 9th, and then if we need to, we can carry them further. Do you think that's the best way to do it?
Are you amenable to August 9th?
I certainly am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
I won't be available.
I understand that, Mr. Harrison.
Yeah, also because one of the applications on the August 9th agenda may not be going forward.
I understand.
507 Sewell,
Yes,
so we may be able to accommodate on that date.
okay. So if you're amenable to August 9th, I'll carry that
And
to
that's
that.
just with the understanding that if for some reason we cannot change one of the applications, you may have to be further carried to September 13th.
I think we're going to have to go to September 13th. Unfortunately, the property owner isn't going to be here, is unavailable that night.
Okay,
Okay, so that's actually, the 20th is better.
so you want to have only one application on the
I do.
13th?
I do.
Okay. All right, so will that be okay with everyone, September 20th?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Spadaccini.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to carry 412 Second Avenue, Kristen Joyner, to September 20th, 2022 without further notice.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
I have a motion by Christopher Avaloni and a second by Jill Potter. Daniel Harris,
Yes.
Jill Potter,
Yes.
Wendy Glassman,
Yes.
John Scully,
Yes.
and Christopher Avaloni.
Yes.
Thank you. Application carried September 20th, 2022 without further notice.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.